Hi guys, Andy here, and welcome back to Lethe. I hope I'm still saying that right. I have no idea actually. I'm recording with a very special guest. His name is Major. He is a very old poodle who's asleep next to me right now. Say hi, Major. Hi. Okay. Let's continue. Last I remember, we had fallen asleep after a very exciting day at school. Welcome home. You skipped out on school, huh? Well, yeah, it seems I'm not up to it. Geez, you really do what you want. You saw us laugh but didn't feel like humoring him. I'm going to my room now. Call me for dinner. You took steps toward the desk now. There's one way to make absolutely certain of whether Cameron was lying, and you began to search through sheet after sheet. They were even dated, and you felt almost out of body, looking at papers covered with your writing which you couldn't remember having written. You paused 3/4 of the way through the pile to remove a sheet of paper that looked very different. The writing was neat, well presented and clear. Everything made sense. There was no wasted space, and even reading over them once, you feel like you'd learn a lot. In a way, you thought you would know this was Cameron's even if the handwriting hadn't given it away. You laid the notes on the desk and then sat on the bed. There was no way to remember under what conditions you'd borrowed them in. And thinking about it now, you didn't want to be responsible for them. It would be better if you returned them, after all. Your mind lulled itself as you reached your conclusion. Jaden would be bothering you for dinner soon. Looking at the time, you decided to get working on it sooner rather than later. Cooking has never taken much effort for you. Same. Any struggle was worth it when the food turned out better for it. You knew the satisfaction from eating good food far outweighed any negatives behind cooking it. Jaden, dinner! You called for Jaden, who appeared distracted. He was preoccupied with his phone, and you watched as he took the food and continued. Idly, you wondered if he knew anything about you changing clubs. He was the closest person to you. After a great deal of silence, you took a breath. Let's ask about the sewing club. Hey, Jaden. He barely raised his head to make a noise you couldn't discern. You didn't know if he was really listening, but you pressed on. Do you know anything about me changing clubs? Silence reigned, and you ate as you waited for some kind of response. After none seemed to present itself, you took a breath. You do you. Your breath caught as your mind raced to comprehend what he meant. What do you mean? Silence. I thought you would know what's going on since you're the closest to me. We've been living together and everything. I mean, I brought back all those notes. You ought to at least know about those, right? The net silence was punctuated by Jaden's phone hitting the table. I don't fucking know what's been going through your mind the last few weeks. Stop griping me, just deal with it. God damn, he's a fucking asshole. Asshole cunt. He shrunk back, confused and upset by his outburst. It wasn't as if you'd meant to throw your feelings onto him. But if anyone didn't know what had been going through your mind, it was you. Is that an airplane flying overhead? You'll probably be able to hear it because I live really close to the airport. And I live in a busy area. I'm going to my room. You left your plate on the table. Whether there was a mess or not didn't interest you. Right now, you wanted to be alone. Even in the dark, you were drawn to Cameron's notes. With your mind the way it was, you found yourself reading over them without reason. It calmed you. And like that, you fell asleep. You wake up groggy, upset. Continuing to school, you're better able to work past your pains. The majority of the day passes without event. You visit the teacher's room, informing them of your situation, and receive both sympathies and page after page of notes. Revision. At lunch, you climbed to the roof, half hoping Cameron would be there to receive his notes. I before E, except after C. And you return to the next class with them still in hand. You read over the notes once more, 3 times more, and wonder how you are even meant to get in contact with him. The rest of the day passes, and while you congratulate yourself for making it through the day, you still wonder. In the end, your best chance of finding him is by simply wandering around the school. Probably. You looked to the halls wondering if it was even possible to find Cameron this way. As you walked, your mind idled around the mystery of the sewing club. If you came that way, would it be worth asking someone if they knew why you'd left? You shook your head to yourself and sighed. Would they even know? Wouldn't it be embarrassing to go back to the club you left? Thoughts clouded your mind, and before you knew it, you'd reached the end of the halls. You hadn't found Cameron, but you were near enough to the sewing club to check it out. Idly, your legs carried you forward until you were standing a short distance away from the club room. Unsure of whether you should bother popping into the sewing club so late to ask something so embarrassing, you made to turn around. Leave it be, go to sewing club. I kinda want to know. Taking a breath, you decide that you would regret not going now. You were disappointed with the day as a whole so far. As you walked into the room, it felt like the very air froze. Faces turned toward you in mild confusion and disgust. Maybe it was a bad idea. Any conversation had been dropped, and you never felt more like an intruder in the remaining silence. Unwilling to run away with your tail between your legs this far into your mission, you clear your throat. You know it doesn't do much for the embarrassment that had already spread across your cheeks, but you hoped they wouldn't notice. Is there someone who would happen to know more about why I left this club? Lapsing into silence every few words, you notice a few of the members walking off to continue their business. A few others, however, stayed and stared toward you. There was static in the air, and you made to ask your question again before one of the remaining members snickered. Left? You think you left the club? Don't you remember being kicked out? Obviously not. You did your best to maintain your composure as her accusation struck you. And having the nerve to show your face here again, so humiliating. Come now, you shouldn't be so cruel to him. Don't you know what happens? There is more snickering from the people before you, and even as you looked around the room, there is no alternative offered to you. Kicked out? What do you mean? Breaking the school rules isn't something you should be so absent-minded about, or is forgetting the reason you brought the lighter in the first place. The girl laughed as though she couldn't hold back, and you felt a desperate pain spreading through your chest. I still remember Jaden asking for you to be let off easy. It's only his first offense. Just look at his record. Did I stab somebody with a knitting needle? I hope I stabbed somebody with a knitting needle. Your legs trembled, but you couldn't move. It was as though you were held in place by some terrible spell. It's grounds for suspension or expulsion, but all you got was a slap on the back of your hand, temporary leave, ineligibility for recreational activity. I bet he was bringing it to burn his grades, or light up some fags on the school roof. You never know with this type. What the fuck? Was I trying to commit arson? What even is this game? I have no idea what the hell this is. And I can hear that giant-ass helicopter hovering above the houses. Always acting so timid and kind with that delinquent pretty boy next to you. Did you really think you wouldn't get caught? Was I smoking? Was I trying to set something on fire in the trash can? So many questions, no answers. Pretty boy? Jaden? There's no way. No extracurriculars for you. Just study, study, study. Ahaha. You don't even deserve that. Weren't you meant to have fallen off a roof anyway? Why are you still here? Damn, they're fucking assholes. I mean, I probably am too, but I guess you couldn't stand yourself either. Shouldn't you be dead already? God damn, that's some cold ass shit, Major. These people are assholes. You need to go bite them for me. And like that, you ran. You didn't know where to, or why you had to run, but it was the only thing you could do. Your breath pained you. Shots ran up both legs and wetness crept down your cheeks. You didn't remember. You didn't remember a thing. The pain was intense, a sharp burning not only in your muscles, but in your chest. You couldn't tell the difference between the heartache and the lack of breath, and when you paused, you began to cough. What if you did it? What if you did do it yourself? What if the reason the other student died? No. Static. I love it. No. You couldn't imagine being the one to stand there. Or to take your life. But what crazy shit have you forgotten? Lighters? As oxygen began to circulate your body once more, your thoughts turned to the apartment. Jaden had something to do with this. You knew he had to have something to do with this. All that talk about him trying to get you off easy. And he said he knew nothing. Yo, you took your time getting back today. Did you get lost? I asked you. What? You knew your face was red, from a combination of humiliation and anger. I asked you about the sewing club. You avoided the conversation. You knew what happened. Why the hell do you go digging around? You're making things complicated. You couldn't believe what you were hearing. Why the hell did I go digging around? That's the best you have to say after you humiliated me? How did I humiliate you? I didn't do anything wrong here. You did. You could barely contain your fury. If things carried on this way, you knew you were going to cry again. It's your fault. I know it is. How about you tell me exactly what you know, and I'll tell you how much of it is my fault. Even Jaden was angry, and the tense situation called for more of your wrath. Let's start with the fact that I was found carrying a lighter. How did that happen, Jaden? I don't even own a lighter. You, however, have thousands. You could see he was trying to rein in his anger, but you didn't bother following suit. Hey now, you can't even remember half the shit in your own room. Don't go fucking pinning this on me. I think a couple of sheets of paper are a little different to bringing a fucking contraband item to school. Well, you agreed to take the heat for that, as a matter of fact. Don't give me that shit. There's no way. You fucking agreed. There's no way I'd just plant a lighter on you and then come plea for you. So it was true. He did plea. Do you think the teachers would even believe that if you even so much as said it wasn't yours? You hadn't thought of it that way, but I got kicked out of the sewing club, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me why when I asked. How do you think it would have worked out any better than this anyway? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have gone to the club and been told secondhand by some people who wanted. You could feel the tears prickling at your eyes now. Who said I deserved it? That I should be dead? Who the fuck said that? You knew the anger wasn't directed toward you now, but your humiliation was still fresh in your mind. This is your fault. Tell me who said that to you. I'm going to my room. Do not try to come in. Find your own dinner tonight. The solitude of your room calmed you somewhat. It wasn't enough to calm the rapid beating of your heart or the tears that had begun to lap at the edges of your eyelids. With even the little amount that had happened today, you were worn out entirely. What was Jaden's problem anyway? Keeping secrets? You plopped onto the bed looking into your hands. What if he knew about the night of the party and just decided not to tell you? Would snooping even be enough to find out the truth? You were sick of the hole in your memories, sick of the nasty discoveries. You were sick of being awake. And so, it didn't take long to lure you into the clutches of sleep. You idly hoped that you would remember something in your dreams, and then ignored it. You'd had enough disappointments lately. You stretched widely and blinked as though your eyes had been glued together. The events of yesterday came back to you, and you sighed. There is no point remaining angry, even though you'd been hurt. You were living with Jaden, so there was no avoiding it. Stretching as you stood up, it only took minutes to prepare yourself for another school day. Thought I might tell you your first appointment is this morning. You froze and stared at Jaden as he blinked lazily. What? The doctor thing. Just get to the hospital by 9:30 and tell them what you know. They'll sort it out. Jaden really wasn't chatty this morning. Well, it didn't seem like there was much else to do, and he certainly didn't mind missing a little school. With little time wasted, you planned the route toward the hospital and back. The ride toward the hospital was long and unbelievably boring. You found your mind grasping at straws to stay awake. When it was finally your stop, you'd never been more grateful. As you paced forward, you idly wondered if the fatigue you'd been feeling was a side effect of your condition. The hospital staff were welcoming, though slightly taken aback by your lack of preparation. You were assured you would be tended to as soon as possible. Not even 10 minutes later, a familiar face led you back to a familiar room, and you stood awkwardly as Mark pat down the sheets of the bed and faced you. Glad to see you're in one piece. Are you feeling any better? Adjusting well? The nurse seemed so upbeat that your confusion felt almost like an unwanted storm. Well, I'm so-so. If you're asking about my memory, it's not rushing back. Of course not. It'll take time and persistence. What did he mean by persistence? You've really got to work on what you can remember and what people tell you. Without being able to connect the two, who knows if you're getting the full story? You felt as though the concept was something you had already grasped, but it still comforted you to hear it. The longer you thought about it, the more you wondered. Did this man know anything about that night? Something more than what people were telling you? Do you know more that night's full story than me? The nurse took a moment before he replied. Is there a specific topic you'd like me to expand on? Now, your mind began to wonder. Do you wonder if Jaden had something to do with you being at the party, or falling? Maybe he knew what really happened and just never told you. It wouldn't surprise you. But at the same time, you wonder why Cameron was even worried about you. From what you knew, he was only in the homework club with you. Was he at the party? Did he know what happened? Did the nurse know what happened? Does anybody know what happened? Your mind spun, but you had to pick one. Let's see. Ooh, choices. Who do we pick? Ask about Jaden, ask about Cameron, or about the guy who died? I want to ask about Cameron. The nurse paused again and then smiled. He's not much for talking, I'll tell you that. You nodded in return, all too familiar with the silence. Now, the nurse seemed to be thinking heavily before he spoke. The police seemed pretty interested in him, and I heard a rumor. Well, my guess is that he's probably hiding something big. What do you mean by something big? Something dangerous? The nurse took another moment before shaking his head again. I think you'll find there's much more to be learned by watching him interact than trying to talk to him. Not that that sounds easy. Not that it makes much sense either. Looks can be deceiving. Ask him first impressions. He paused, then grinned. Even if they're made twice. You tinted a smile at his humor and then took a shaky breath. Well, okay, I'll keep that in mind. There's a sudden beeping which took you by surprise. The nurse only took a look at the small device in his pocket before returning to his usual demeanor. That looks like time. The doctor will be here shortly. Wait. Sorry, but I have to go. Speedy. Well then. Ah, Andy. It's nice to see you're faring well. And it's the fucking doctor who sent me home after I'm assuming one day of being woken up from a coma. Silently, you wondered if everyone had expected something terrible to happen. Have you been feeling dizzy since the fall? Experiencing anything out of the ordinary? Actually, I've been really tired. Even making it through a day of school drains me. Is that normal? The doctor took a moment to sort her papers before she nodded. Fatigue and general aches and pains are things that you'll have to deal with until your body has regained its health. She waited a second as if letting you catch up. Unless there seems to be something abnormal, you can take a general painkiller to ease the aches. And of course, if there are any particularly agonizing headaches, please let me know. You nodded once, letting your head bob as your muscles relaxed. Thinking back to the conversation you had moments ago with Mark, you took a breath. Did you meet Jaden or Cameron? The doctor nodded once but didn't seem very receptive. Would you happen to know anything about them? About the night I came in? She cut you off. I apologize, but I don't make exchanges with anyone apart from my patients. Oh, no, you don't need to apologize. I understand. So, you'd luck out with the nurse after all. The doctor finally let her notes fall to her side. Have you begun to recall anything? No, I haven't. And how are you adjusting to your day-to-day life? Well, I wouldn't say there is much else I wouldn't say there is much else than the house to adjust to. It doesn't really feel like school has progressed so far. The doctor seemed to smile for only a second. Well, I can only hope that you will recover your memories. Take good care of your body in the meantime. A healthy mind comes from a healthy body. It sounded more like she was quoting a page than giving you advice, but you nodded regardless. Has Mark been here? Didn't she see him leave moments before she entered? Yeah, just before. I'll email him the details. Do you know when your next appointment is? Your mind real to keep up. No, I don't. Jaden told me about this one. I did ask him to. Your next appointment will be the blank of this month. Didn't she say she didn't make exchanges with anyone apart from her patients? Staring forward, you absorbed what you could of the doctor's words. Was she lying, or did that count as something for you? Maybe she just didn't want to do it with the. Maybe she just didn't want anything to do with that night. You couldn't decide. It seemed as though there was no end to it at all. Before you knew it, you were on your way to school. There was no new medicine for you to take, no therapy to try. It was a checkup. Half of you was grateful for the break from school, and the other half was fixated on the two enigmas you had at school. Jaden and Cameron. The former was practically chaos incarnate, and Cameron was... okay, I'm going to actually leave this episode right here. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and a comment. I don't really have anything else to say. If you want to support me on Patreon, I do have it set up. I'll leave a link in the description. Bye for now. Bye for now.